one Cardinal, one Cub, and one big tall boy beer. Look at that thing.
Woo!
That thing. That is
Man,
awesome.
that's like
I'll
a
tell you
Pringles
what,
can.
yeah, I wish it was a Pringles. I love Pringles.
Good
You
stuff.
know, they can't call them potato chips anymore.
Is that a slur or something?
No,
What is that?
no. Pringles used to be called stackable potato chips.
Yeah,
And I don't know, Frito-Lay, somebody sued them for that because
that was their
it's not a potato
trademark.
chip because they puree it and then you know,
That's
so,
it. I'm in on Pringles now. I'm going all in on Pringles.
so
You guys, if Pringles wants a sponsor here, please come aboard.
I agree.
One
Well,
Cardinal, one Cub, one Pringle. That sounds pretty catchy.
I will forever call Pringles potato chips because I don't care if the Pringles, the potato chip police come to my house and arrest me. I will cuddle up in a fetal position and they will carry me out. There will be cameras here, and I would just be chanting, Pringles are chips. Pringles are chips.
Like
Being I
Norma
never
Ray.
yeah, being I never had the chance to protest anything in college, I have to start somewhere. So uh,
I one time they took Mountain Dew out of the soda machine, and I got pretty upset. But that was about as far as I went.
communists. What
Yeah.
communists would do that?
What kind of world are we living in, man?
You're not the first person I've met that has a Mountain Dew addiction. I used to work with a guy who had a 2 liter Mountain Dew as soon as he got to work in the morning, and he would just chug Mountain Dews all day long. And he was a
Feisty.
salesman. He was always hyper and everything. And
Is he still with
he,
us to this day?
uh,
Is he still with us?
I've lost track of him. I don't
Ah,
know. So
it takes a little out of you. That Mountain Dew does.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I do want to remind everybody to like us on Facebook. You can contact us through one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that way, as soon as our information is dropped, you will be the first to know about it. And you can hold your head up high thinking that you are special. You can support us through Patreon. You go to patreon.com, search one Cardinal, one cup, and one beer. And you can support our efforts for $3, $5, or $10 a month. And if you want to support us for more, like if you want to support us for like a couple thousand a month, just uh, give me 1,000 a month and JJ 1,000 a month, all in cash for gift cards. Okay, that's
Or
how.
Pringles. I'll take it in Pringles.
Oh yeah, Pringles. If you want to be a contestant on one of our trivia contests, a guest on a panel, if you have an interesting baseball story, connection to the game, anecdote, something like that, and you think, man, I would make a really fascinating guest because those two guys are really boring, you know, come on here. Let us know. Say, hey, I'd like to be a guest on the show. Uh, don't feel like I can't do that because I feel like I'm self promoting. That's what we do here. We self promote. Self promote yourself. I've got something to say about baseball. And if you get on here and say, I've got two words, baseball sucks,
Oh,
you'll watch me and JJ cry. I mean,
yeah. That's sad.
we are opening up a new segment because I got correspondence that, hey, last week you guys talked about beer. You are one Cardinal, one cup, one beer. You should do a beer segment. So we're doing a beer segment, and I don't drink much beer. Um, so what we're going to do every week is I'm going to drink a different beer and kind of go into the history of the beer real quick. And today we're going to go with Mick Ultra. And you're wondering why I have a tall boy because I don't drink enough beer to buy like a 6 pack or something, and you can't get a small bottle or can on its own. You have to buy the whole 6 pack. I do use beer quite a bit when I smoke or grill or something, but you kind of got to use it while it's still good. You can't just open it and stick. It's not like it's water. Okay. But anyway, I do have my frosted mug, world's greatest grandpa, that was bought for me specifically by myself because my grandson is 7 or almost 7, and he's not going to buy me a mug. So I'm gonna pop the top
Listen,
off here.
listen to that sound.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
Oh,
man, there you
and
go.
this week we are doing Mick Ultra because Mick Ultra is kind of my go-to. Not when I'm barbecuing, but like if I'm doing an open mic or a club or something, and I want to order a drink because I want to tip the wait staff and kind of, so I'll get a Mick Ultra because I am diabetic, and this is the most diabetic friendly beer usually at the bar. I don't know if it's on the planet, but anyway, uh,
Bottoms up. Oh,
that tastes just like Mick Ultra. A little history about Michelob Ultra. Michelob was introduced by Anheuser-Busch in 1896, and originally it was only available via draft in high-end theaters, restaurants, and hotels. As it became bottled, Michelob became known for its distinctive bottle shape. Not distinctive can shape, distinctive bottle shape, but I will get into the cans in just a minute. Um, in 2002, Anheuser-Busch brewed Michelob Ultra, and it's specifically for people who are watching carbs. And it is, like I said, the best, usually the best beer in a bar for a diabetic. In 2004, Michelob Ultra became the official sponsor of the PGA and the LPGA tours. So within 2 years, it was already starting to make its mark. Of course, it's got the machine of Anheuser-Busch, so it was going to get a real boost. 2007, Mick Ultra is finally canned. And Mick Ultra is known for its very long, thin cans to make it stand out from other beers because they have the distinctive bottles. They wanted a distinctive can. So that's why it was put into the long, thin cans. And also in 2007, Lime Cactus Michelob Ultra hit the shelves. And I have had the lime Michelob Ultra, and it tastes very limey. And I don't mean British. In 2016, Michelob Ultra had its first Super Bowl commercial. 2018, Michelob Ultra rolled out Ultra Pure Gold, which I don't think I have had. 2020, Michelob Ultra rolled out its seltzers because everybody has to have a seltzer now because that's what all the young people drink. And also in 2020, it became the official sponsor of the NBA and the WNBA. And in 2021, Amber Max Michelob Ultra is launched. And that is the history of Michelob Ultra from the world's greatest grandpa to you. Cheers.
I'll be darned.
JJ, give us an update on our fantasy league.
Oh, yes. Let me go right over there. By the way, the only thing I have to add to beer, I'm not a beer drinker. I have actually never drank alcohol in my life. Not that I'm better. I just have enough problems. I probably like it too much because I got a family history of people liking beer too much. But my grandmother used beer to kill slugs. And
Yes.
yeah, and I just think she drinks. Well, she never drank beer, but I would tell her she just got blackout drunk and didn't see the slugs anymore. Well, in our fantasy league, the update. That's how I talk to my grandma. I love her. R.I.P. Arminda. R.I.P. Our fantasy league is going really good right now. The Royals in the American League, the Royals are leading the pack. And that's Brody Jackson. I know that kid. He's all right. He graduates Friday. Congratulations, Brody. The Royals are 21-15, and they are a game and a half ahead of the Mariners and the Red Sox, which is Andrew Gieselman and Ray Hartman. The Tigers are in fourth place, 2.5 back, and that's Tony Pruno, and they're 18-17. And then the fifth and sixth teams have kind of started fading. The Anaheim Angels are 12-23. Trout's out, maybe for the year, and they're 8.5 back, and that's Candy Barks. And then finally, the White Sox and Dan Rutledge, they're 8-27. And I'll get into it later, but they won a fourth of their games against us this week. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. So right now, the Royals, if August came to an end, they would be the American representative in our fantasy league. And by the way, I've got about $100 gift basket for the people who win it. And one of the prizes I have right here is the Mike Shannon bobblehead. So that'll be one of the prizes And there's one of the last pictures I've ever seen of Mike at opening day a couple years ago. Anyway, the Mike Shannon bobblehead is in that gift bag. And in the National League right now, the Cubs. Yeah, the Cubs. So right now, at the end of August, it would be the Cubs versus the Royals in our first Fantasy World Series, and that's Larry Wildy, and the Cubs are 21-15. So man, that'd be a pretty good World Series right there. But they are 3 games ahead of the Nationals and the Padres, which is Tom Majay and Robbie Spear. You got the Pirates 4 games back, which is Dennis Rose. He was in first for the first 3 weeks, but he started fading and the Cubs got hot. And finally, we got the Cardinals, which is Kevin Lee, 5.5 back, and the Rockies, which is Brandon Schmidt up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they're 8-26. So they're back. They're 7 games back in the National League. So that is an update on our fantasy league right now as we enter, I think, our 5th week of baseball.
Now, last night, I got an all-inclusive package for my family to go to the game last night, and 2 of them could not go. Coincidentally, 2 of them have been dropped out of the will today. So, but my daughter Tabitha, she had to watch my grandson because their sitter fell through. My son-in-law, her husband, still came. And then my daughter Rebecca, she's a classical pianist, and she also does accompaniment this time of year for vocal people for their recitals. Vocal people who sing. Jeez. But anyway, so she had to drop out. So I replaced Rebecca with JJ, and I replaced Tabitha with Troy Lou, friend of the show. And so we all went, we enjoyed the baseball game last night. And I want to tell you, we sat in the Coca-Cola deck, which is dead center field. We looked down, we could see the green grass of the batter's eye, and perfectly lined up to see the pitches. I mean, even though it was about nearly 500 feet away, I could almost see pitches that were balls and strikes. It was pretty cool. So I had fun last night.
That was cool.
Even though it didn't end up good for you.
It was competitive, and that's a big change from last year. But I will say one thing, Vince. There was an error last night. Lars Newbar misjudged a ball that was in front of him, and it got past him, and there was a big moment in the game. But I think it was because he was starstruck. He saw the 2 people from this podcast, and he kind of couldn't keep his eye on the game. So I blame myself for that loss, Cardinal fans. I'm so sorry, and I'll wear disguise next time.
Did you notice? I think it was the 7th inning when they brought in Harrison Bader, the Mets did, how he was begging in the dugout. I've got to play in front of 1 Cardinal, 1 beer. That's my dream. So
that was it, and he
got
to come out. He saluted us. I think it might have saluted the whole fan base, but I think it was more for us. And then he was out there throwing balls around. His arm's not good. Yeah, that's what it was. Oh man, I must have been taking a bite of the hot dog or something at that time. I didn't see that.
JJ, I want to. You always have stuff to show off. I finally have stuff to show off. So I went to is it called the Boys Dream Hobby Shop or Card Shop place in Caledonia. Yes. So me and my grandson, we drove down there last week, and I picked up bobbleheads, which I'm not a collector of, but there's Kerry Wood.
Oh, the stripes, the Cub stripes. I love it.
And there's the that's how I knew it was Kerry Wood.
Yeah.
And then I also picked up Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks.
Oh, the classic. Yes.
Thanks, yeah. So, and this one's cool. It's doesn't have his name, but it's Rick Sutcliffe, and it's the bobblehead for the first night game in Wrigley. Check that out.
I love it. Oh my God, I love it. I love the backdrop there, and it lights up. That is great. I have 1 Cardinal, 1 Pujols. I think is 703 lights up, I think is what it is on there. But yeah, that is great. I love that. I love the Suck Club.
If you want to have a fun day, drive down Highway 21 to Caledonia, Missouri. Little bitty town. They have the baseball card place or the card shop. I guess, yeah, they also do video games and stuff like that, but it's mostly a sports card thing. Really great place. The prices are very, very reasonable. And the guy's very knowledgeable, very personable. I don't remember his name right now because my grandson does not like card shops. So he was kind of so anyway, they also have a couple other places that are good places to go to eat. They got a big candy store, old fashioned candy store there that's really cool to go into. You can drive 15 minutes away. You can go to Elephant Rock State Park. You can drive about 25 minutes and go to Johnson Shut In. I mean, there's just a lot to do in that area. So if you want to take a little fun excursion, go to the Caledonia area. Then on your way back, go through Potosi and stop and see JJ.
Yeah, that's right. And bring me some of that ice cream from the candy shop. They got the best ice cream I've had around. That's really good stuff. But this weekend, Saturday, I think it's 12 to 2. They have Vince Coleman's going to be down there signing. You can go online to A Boy's Dreams Hobby Shop, Caledonia. The prices are on there. And I'll be down there Saturday hanging out, talking to Vince, giving him some pointers. And it'll be fun. And they've had Andy Van Slyke down there. Now it's Vince Coleman. And I don't want to say anything else, but there's another Cardinal that's retired now who may be making a appearance down there. And as soon as I find out for sure in the date, I'll let all of y'all know.
It's pretty nice to get retired Cardinals, but if you want to really impress me, get a retired Pope.
Yeah.
One more thing to show. Our guest, was it last week we had him on?
Yeah.
The artist, John, what's John's last name?
Borland? Was it Borland?
Boren.
His name, I think he signed the picture, the painting there.
Oh yeah,
on Boren. The corner.
Boren, yeah. So anyway, JJ had him make the 77 Bill Madlock card for me. So there's that. And bonus, he also threw in Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson's always been very special to me because I lived in Kansas City during his peak years, which were way too short. But thank you, JJ, and I will find a place to prominently display those. So pretty cool.
No problem. That is. I have my Enos Slaughter signed ball here, and this I got this down at Caledonia. Matter of fact, it's a cutout of just Stan. I like it. Some people think it's digitally put in here, but this is that. And then I got last weekend I picked up. Oh, there goes Stan. I picked up a 1960s yearbook of the Cardinals. And usually at the top players have like a page or two at the front. So Stan Musial was still on the Cardinals then. But at the end, it's like Cardinal young players to watch out for. And Bob Gibson's in the back. There's a little square, and it talks about Bob Gibson possibly being a top prospect for him. So anyway, I was very proud of that. I got that. And as you can see, somebody wrote just like 419 right there. So I got it for $10, and I don't care if that writing's on there. I just like to have it. It's in very good shape too. So these are some of the new pieces I got.
Talking about things that people have written on, just a second. I think people know that I collect vinyl. And one of my favorite albums growing up, I found for a good price. Where was I at I was in Springfield at the STD flea market. Yes, it's the STD flea market. Okay.
What were they thinking?
But I got the REO Speedwagon.
Oh.
You get what you play for.
Yeah. Is that live? That's the live album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was, when I was about 10 years old, REO Speedwagon was really big in the St. Louis area before anybody knew who they were. And this At this time, they were a rock band, not a cheesy pop band, by the way. Um, and I didn't realize this, but the previous owner had signed her name on here and right there. And someone named Barbara Nichols also signed it. I don't know who these people are, but random signatures on this thing. And then for some reason, they took a marker and checked off the songs, I guess, as they listened to them. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. So
I know a lot of times in the, especially what year would that have been? 1970s, that album
I think
right
this
there.
was 76 or 77.
Okay, bicentennial time.
77.
77. Well, people used to get together and have a party and bring some of their favorite records, and they'd play music and, you know, chit chat and whatnot, have a beer, you know, and they would put their name on there, so at the end of the party they could get all their records back. You know, everybody would bring some records, so that was one of the things
Ah,
people did back in them days. And I've seen records where when they like something, they put a little mark or a little asterisk by the songs they liked on there, you know. So yeah, RL Speedwagon, though, I remember they toured all over the Midwest before they hit with High Infidelity. That was their big, where everybody knew who they were. But in St. Louis, they were huge. I remember I think Kiss opened for them one time or so, or they opened for Kiss or something like that. But there was that's a strange lineup right there.
yeah, they would sell out like Bush Stadium, Kiel Opera House. They would sell out these big venues in St. Louis, and then they would go to Atlanta or Houston, and they would play these small 1,500 theaters because they had no following there. But in St. Louis, they were just huge. And so when they finally hit big, it was kind of for hardcore Oreo Speedwagon fans who were into the rock sound, the Gary Richrath
Oh yeah.
guitars, and Greg Philbin, who was a fantastic bass player, who they basically kicked out of the band because they said, "No, we need someone who's just gonna kind of not add anything, just kind of keep a bass going." You know, basically, you're too good. You veer off into solo bass stuff that's really good. Um, so when they hit it big as a pop band, it was kind of like, yeah, that's okay for pop music, but it's not the Oreo Speedwagon that I grew up
Yeah.
with.
Oh yeah, they were great.
Yeah, that has absolutely nothing to do with baseball. Let's talk about some baseball. JJ, do you know who's leading the National League in home runs and average?
Well, I believe it's Otani from the Dodgers,
Otani.
isn't he?
Yes, he is. Let me ask you this, because he's I don't think he's ever hit. Has he ever hit 300?
I don't know. If I was betting, I maybe. I don't know. I can't say.
I do know this. He's never been in contention for a batting title.
Right.
Okay. So if he's not hitting second, he would be a serious triple crown candidate. But when you're batting second, it's going to be hard to get a lot of RBI. He's going to get his fair share, but he's hitting third with a couple guys, you know, like Freeman and Betts in front of him, be knocking in a ton of runs. But anyway, that made me ask myself the question I want to share with you. With his arm problems, and this is his second go around with arm problems since he's been here in the States. Um, do you think if he just focused on hitting, he could put up some Ruthian type numbers?
Very big possibility. I don't put anything past this guy. Um, you know, they always compare him to Ruth. But I'm amazed every year. My admiration for him grows. I was like, okay, he's a 10-game winner and he hit 35 home runs. That's man, that's incredible. But each year he's getting better and better. He's got used to the thing. The spotlight's always on him. Doesn't seem to bother him. He's in a big market. Um, I think he could do anything he set his mind to as long as he's healthy. And but my gosh, that pitching staff next year, oh my gosh, he's coming back. Walker Bueller is getting very close to coming back, and this is an incredible team as we speak right now. And they're getting all these pieces back. That's scary, Vince. But he is a phenom, and I want to go see him play in his prime. It's I don't want to miss this. So I might even go out to Kansas City if the Dodgers go out there and watch him play out there. That's my thought on that.
Well, he throws a splitter, which can be rough on the elbow. Um, and I know they're not paying him 70 million just to hit. They eventually want him to pitch. Maybe give him 3 or 4 more years on the mound and then just say, all right, you're a hitter now. I wonder. I just wonder, without having to worry about preparing for a start and just solely focus on hitting, could he be one of those who puts up these monster numbers of 360 batting average, 55 home runs, 160 RBIs, something like that? I don't know.
Well, with that team he's on, he's always going to get pitches because you got Will Smith up there also, maybe a future Hall of Famer. I don't know if he puts it together for year and year. You got 4 guys at the top of that lineup that you can't pitch around. They're all so good. And
Yeah.
so I think he's going to get more opportunities, and be a part of that. But yeah, that's incredible. But that being said, he was not Player of the Month in the National League. Did you know that? The
No.
Player of the Month in the National League was Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts was the Player of the Month. Mookie put up some incredible numbers too. He had a 368 batting average, 10 doubles, 2 triples, and 6 home runs, and he had 26 walks and only 16 Ks. And you got him, and then you got Ohtani, and you got Freeman and Smith. I don't know how you're going to get around that, And
It's
they
not.
all seem to it's not fair. It's not fair. I mean, we're having trouble with the White Sox and the Mets. These guys, we did play them, and we won 1 out of 4 and almost won a second one, but my gosh, they're so good. They really hadn't got up and running yet. They weren't running at full speed yet when we played them. But my
Yeah.
gosh. And speaking of Player of the Month, I was going to say the American League one was Gunnar Henderson, who looks like he's just taking that next step. He's Rookie of the Year last year, and he's even getting better this year. So that's the 2 Players of the Month in MLB for April.
Yes, on the National League, the pitcher of the month was Ranger Suarez. And I really thought Imanaga with a sub-1 ERA, who hadn't lost yet. I thought that maybe he was going to get it, but Suarez does have more innings. His ERA is still in the low ones. It's not like, and then he had that incredible scoreless inning streak. So they gave Imanaga.
And he threw a shutout too, which you don't see very much. He threw a shutout. But maybe it's like the Academy Awards. If this movie's got the best actress, they don't want to give the best actor to the guy in the same movie. That you don't see that very often. But your pitcher, how you say that last name again?
Imanaga.
He got National League Rookie of the Month.
Yes, he did.
So he got highlighted there, and like you said, a 0.98 ERA. Good Lord.
And it's even lower now because he threw 6 shutout innings his last outing. Pitches today. So
3 walks at 28 Ks. Before that game you're speaking of, at the end of April, 3 walks, 28 Ks. My gosh. That's just, you don't see that these days. And that Rangers, and nothing against your pitcher, but Suarez is sort of, you don't notice him as much because you got Wheeler and Nola in that. He's like the 3rd guy, But it's gonna be fun watching these guys down the stretch. It's gonna be fun. And the American League pitcher was Jose Barreras of the Blue Jays. He had a 1.44 ERA, but pitched 43 2/3 innings. So he's rediscovered his stuff. And then the rookie in the American League, like Baltimore needs more young, talented players. They had the Colton Cowher was the American League Rookie of the Year. He's only 24, hit 304 and had 6 home runs. So my gosh, that Oriole team is stacked with young, incredible players. So it'll be fun to watch.
Well, for the second time in 2 years, Luisa Rise, two-time batting champion, once in the American League, once in the National League, has been traded. It looks like the Marlins are starting a fire sale, possibly. I've never seen a team throw in the towel this early.
Yeah, me neither.
He got traded the first week of May. The Marlins are a friggin' mess. A mess. There is no reason to go to South Florida and watch a game unless it is a World Baseball Classic game where they pack the stadium and they're doing all the cheers and everything that the Latin fan base does. And I'm sure that the Marlins have tried to tap into this, but with that giant Latin community, could you imagine if they really did have a great team? They really filled it. They focused on Latin players, and they did that type of fandom that they have in the Latin American countries. That would be so electric. But instead, they have this beautiful stadium that is 90% empty. The only cool things they had going for them was that statue in the outfield and the fish tank, and they got rid of both of them. So now it's just a ballpark. I don't get that.
I don't either. And they get rid of the players. Like Arise is very popular down there. I mean, yes, other teams want them. And I don't know what they got for them. Maybe they overwhelmed them with some prospects. I don't know. But Arise, this would be incredible if he wins 3 batting titles, although he started out a little slower this year. But if he won 3 batting titles.
Now, he started.
I think he could hit 300 in his sleep. But if he wins 3 batting titles in a row with 3 different teams, I've never heard of anything like that in my life. So look out, man. But the Padres are going for it. I mean, they're going against the evil empire, the Dodgers, and they're going to give them everything they got. But yeah, I feel bad for the Florida fans. A lot of people go down there to retire, and so a lot of times people go to the stadium because they want to see their team. You know, I grew up in Boston. I want to see the Red Sox play the Marlins or whatever. But they got rid of Jeter's not there anymore. They had a lady that was the general manager who made some really good moves, and they ticked her off, and she ended up leaving. So I don't know what. And they didn't re-up Skip Schumacher. He had a team option, and they're not going to do that. So I'd like to see Skip come back to St. Louis, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we talked about that last night. If I was Skip Schumacher, this isn't what I signed up for. This team made the playoffs last year. They weren't a good team, but he got them into the playoffs. And now you're getting rid of I mean, you got Chisholm Jr. still, and I don't think he's going to go anywhere. But you got rid of one of your best draws. And if they are doing a fire sale, when the Cubs played the Marlins, and the Marlins played us tough, they took 2-4 from us at Wrigley. Luzardo looked fantastic, and I thought, boy, I'd kind of like to see him in a Cub uniform. So
yeah.
And then the closer is Tanner Scott. Is that his name? Really good closer. They do have a few pieces there, and like just a few months ago, we saw them in the playoffs, and they're packing it in.
But this isn't the first time they did this. They've done it when they won that World Series. It was sort of like they just got a bunch of hired guns one year, won it, dismantled.
Yeah, 98 season,
they had
won the World Series, and then they just dismantled that team.
There was another time they were building, and it looked like they were going to get good, and one of their pitchers passed away, and then they just ended up trading Ozuna and Yelich and Stanton. They just got rid of him, and JT Realmuto was the catcher. They just got rid
Yeah,
of all those best players they had. I boy, it'd be hard to be a fan of that team right there.
I they kind of started their existence behind the eight ball because they were playing in um, that old Miami stadium. I don't remember what they called it. It wasn't the Orange Bowl. But
It's where the
anyway,
Dolphins played, but
yeah, yeah. Where the Dolphins played before they played at this place and after they played at the Orange Bowl. So I don't remember what the name was, but it
like
was an
Joe
outdoor.
Robbie Stadium or something.
Yeah. Outdoor stadium in that Florida heat. Fans didn't like it. It was too hot to watch a game. So they had trouble getting people to come to the park then. So okay, we're going to build a new stadium that's going to be indoor, and we're going to play into the Latin community with, art and cultural things brought in from the Latin community. And then they just went in there. I don't know. They just can't reach those fans. I don't know. I do want to talk about. I read an article today, and it kind of talked about the reemergence of the slow fastball. I don't like slow fastball because that's an oxymoron. So I'll just put the pedestrian fastball, okay?
Okay.
Not the fastball that's going
100.
98 to
Yeah.
100, low 90s type fastballs.
That's like when we were kids. That was fast. 92, 94. That was fast when we were kids.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Um, and what they focused on was cut pitcher Shota Imanaga, whose fastball tops out at about 92. He doesn't throw hard, but he throws the fastball in the strike zone, and they can't catch up with it because it's very deceptive. And he was pitching in Japan where they don't do the trajectory swing to try to get it in the air. They're more the traditional level swing. So he didn't have as much success with the high fastball there. In fact, with that level swing, if you get a hold of the high fastball, it's going to go out of the park. That's why he gave up a lot of home runs in Japan. Well, he hasn't had much problem with home runs since he's been here because the Cubs were proactive in letting him know the swing path is different here. That high fastball is going to play because with that uppercut swing, they're not going to be able to get it. And so he throws that high fastball and he also throws a splitter and kind of works up and down a little bit, left and right in the zone, but it's mostly just kind of up and down. Uh, Fastball in on the right hander, a splitter, kind of away, tries to do that kind of thing. So I started looking at the Cubs staff, which is fantastic right now. Imanaga, his fastball tops out at about 92. Jordan Wicks, who has pitched really good, who is on the IL right now, his fastball is about 93. He's a changeup pitcher. Jameson Tyone, who you don't think of as a fastball, he can hit 95 on a fastball, but he's more of he's got 6 pitches, he controls them all, and he's more of a classic junk ball pitcher. We all know that Kyle Hendricks can't 89's his fastball. And I remember someone jokingly said that something about Hendricks heater. And wait a minute, Hendricks doesn't have a heater. This is when he was young. So we've probably got in the National League, maybe in all of baseball, the average fastball for Cubs starting staff is probably the lowest in baseball. But besides Hendricks, Steele just came back last night and for his first start since opening day, and he pitched 4 2/3 shutout innings and hit the pitch mark that he had to be pulled from. But all these guys, Imanaga, Tyone, Steele, Wicks, they've got, I forgot Assad, whose fastball tops out at about 92. is looking like if he keeps pitching like this, he's going to be on the All-Star team. I mean, he's got a sub-2 ERA. We've got an excellent starting staff that doesn't throw hard. You look at our hardest throwers in the bullpen, Palencia, who can hit 102 on his fastball, a 6.55 ERA and a 1.73 whip. That's terrible. He was IL'd today. Luke Little has been sent down. Luke Little, who I'm very high on because he does have swing and miss stuff, but he can't control it. His ERA is 7 at the major league level with 1.67 whip. So our hardest throwers have been probably our worst pitchers so far. And our best pitching has come from these guys who don't throw that hard. Do you think we're going to start to see maybe the pendulum swing to where the high velocity isn't so much emphasized anymore because we do know it's a strain on the arm? We're seeing so many pitchers with arm injuries. Dial it down and learn how to pitch. It's a novel concept, learning how to pitch. And I've always liked this quote, and I don't know exactly who originated it, but I've heard it many times, that baseball is very simple. Hitting is timing, and pitching is upsetting the timing. And if you can upset the timing by changing speeds and changing locations, there's no need to blow your arm out trying to hit 99 miles an hour on a fastball. What are your thoughts?
Vince, we've been playing baseball since was it like 1882, 1868, somewhere 1876, I think is actually when we started playing. But for all those years, there's a few exceptions. You got your Walter Johnson came along, who would just blow people away, and that is a great weapon. And these high school kids and little league kids and college kids, I mean, it's kind of, you see the pitch now on TV of the strikeout and with the time, how fast it went on there, and people are amazed by that. And the home runs the same way. But I've seen teams win by not hitting a lot of home runs and running. But pitching is a beautiful thing, like you said, Vince. Inside, outside, changing speeds, maybe having a dropper. Maybe the next time it doesn't drop and they're expecting that, they swing underneath it and pop it up. But I think that is baseball. It's like you said, the timing and messing up, finding out that hole where that batter's got, and sometimes walking it up the strike zone. And finally you'll say, well, why did he swing at that? But he kind of programmed him to go up the ladder, and that last one he's swinging at's in his eyebrows. I think it's beautiful. And there's some people come out and just have an incredible couple of pitches, but then they get an arm injury or they lose some velocity. And I mentioned Tim Lincecum. It seemed like for 5 years, Lincecum was a Cy Young Award winner, all-star pitcher, but then his velocity started going down, and he really didn't know the art of pitching inside, outside. Waino got hurt, and he always had that curveball, but there was times I thought, well, he's done. But he would learn. He would different windups, like you said, messing up the timing, and he stuck around a lot longer after that. So yeah, I'm with you, Vince. Changing the speeds. Now you're always going to have a guy at the back of the line, somewhere in the bullpen, a couple that just can throw it by somebody. But some of my favorite pitchers, Greg Maddux, he was a master. He could hit that corner and keep moving it out. Oh, I got a strike there. Well, I'm going to move it over a little bit further. And then sometimes by the seventh inning, you had those calls the Cardinals got the other day from that one the other team got, where the ball's about that far outside, and he got a strike. He just kept moving like an illusion. He even fooled the umpire. He was such a craftsman with the pitches. And yeah, I'm all about that. It seemed like the Cardinals in our really good years, we had trouble with the Bronson Arroyas and the Smileys and the guys who threw maybe 90 fastball, but their changeup would be, 78 or something like that, and they would just eat us alive. Now, I think your starting rotation is fantastic, but part of that is because your defense is so good. If you're going to be a pitcher, a lot of times you're going to have them just not quite get a hold of the ball, and then let the defense, man, these guys are top-notch guys. And you have a great defense too, like that Swanson kid at shortstop. Oh my gosh, he's so good. You got guys that can run the ball down in the outfield and get when it tries to go in the alley. When maybe every once in a while, ball's going to drift over the plate, but a good team's got a defense to back those pitchers up. So if you got pitchers like you were talking about and a defense, you can go a long way, you know. And then it seems like those guys, they'll get an out on 3 or 4 pitches, and they seem like they can go more innings, and it's less taxing on your bullpen. A strikeout, sometimes you're throwing what, Vince? Are you throwing like maybe 7, 8 pitches per batter? That's 20 pitches an inning. 5 innings, you're out of the game. The bullpen's got to come in. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I like. I like a pitching duel of those guys. The Jack Morris and the Tom Glad or John Smoltz matchup. That was one of my favorite games ever.
yeah. I remember growing up. Luis Tiant is a borderline Hall of Famer. Um, Not only did he have different pitches, he had different windups. And he sometimes he threw it sidearm, sometimes it'd be 3/4, sometimes he'd just come over the top. Sometimes he'd do the hesitation like a lot of the Japanese pitchers do. Sometimes he would do maybe a slide step and kind of quick pitch. Because he wasn't trying to blow the ball by anybody, he was just trying to upset the timing. And then when I saw Johnny Cueto, who I think is now maybe not officially retired, but I don't think he's with the team. Johnny Cueto was like the next generation of Luis Tiant, just mixing it up with how you're going to wind up, what you're going to throw, and just gives you fits because you never know not only what's going to come out of his hand, what arm slot is going to come from. So I kind of like I kind of hope the Cubs continue to have success. This isn't an aberration that we still are able to succeed with the pitching staff that isn't throwing so hard, and we see pitchers. The strikeout isn't everything. I know, I say it all the time on here. Nothing good happens with a strikeout from an offensive point of view. Nothing. You can't move a runner. You can't, you just go sit down. But from a pitching perspective, if you're not going for all these strikeouts and you're just trying to get, soft contact and you're saving your arm, not only you're saving your arm, going deeper into ball games because you're throwing less pitches, and then you can turn it over to the bullpen. I do like flamethrowers in the bullpen, guys can come in the ninth and just gas it out. But I'm talking specifically about starting pitching at this point in time. I like the trend that may be beginning that you don't have to throw 100 miles an hour and have your third Tommy John surgery by the time you're 27.
You think that pitch clock has something to do with this? Maybe the trend, because you have to get the ball before you could stall and take your time and max effort. But now you're 15 seconds. You got to get that ball, get your sign, and get ready to go. And I don't know if a flamethrower can really, most of them can last like that. That's pretty rough on you, and max out that quick so often.
Yeah,
That's changed the game a little bit, I think.
yeah, I believe so. You have anything else to add to the opening chat?
Well, one thing, injuries. Every team's going to have injuries. Some injuries, I don't know if they're actual injuries. The Cardinals have a couple. We put people on the injured reserve because they just weren't doing very well. Maybe that's why they weren't doing so well. I'm not sure. But there's an injury, the Cleveland team, Stephen Kwan, who is one of my favorite players, probably one of my top 30 players around today. Just like the way he plays, he's so fundamentally sound. And Cleveland's, they weren't expected to do real well this year, and he's a big part of their success. But he got hurt, and I don't know how long he's going to be out, but I hate to hear that. But I'm telling you what, this is going to be a long season. There's going to be injuries. I think the healthiest teams that's going to be a big part of team success, and let's see what happens. But I hate to hear that Stephen Kwan got hurt, and Walker Bueller's coming back soon on the injury front. So that's a couple. I just wanted to mention Kwan's out for a while.
What's wrong with Quan?
I wrote. I don't know. I just seen he went on there. I don't know. It just said hurt, so I don't know. But it hurts Cleveland. That's a big piece of their puzzle right there.
Good. I hope we play Cleveland before he gets back.
Yeah, exactly. Bring on the Guardians.
Oh, so what's going on with the Cardinals?
Well, Vince, I listen to the radio shows. Everybody's an expert. It's gloom and doom. But I had a seance last night. I contacted Roger Freed, and Roger Freed was eating Pringles. He was having a few Pringles. So I'm not exactly sure what he said, but it was something about a changeup. So I've been every day when the Cardinals lose, I switch hats. So I'm wearing this one until they lose another game. I'm wearing this. I put my socks inside out. I'm changing it up, just like Roger Freed told me to. So that's what I'm doing.
You're good. You stop short of saying I'm wearing my wife's underwear.
That's one time I think our clothes got mixed up and she had some pregnancy pants and I didn't know they were her, but her pockets were real small. I was like, well, what happened to my pockets? It was her pregnancy pants. I was like, oh, great. I'm wearing those. True story. True story.
Mine wasn't that bad, but when Max was little, I I was a single parent at the time, trying to have three little ones and then a middle schooler. It was tough, but anyway, I would have Max put on his clothes when he was, I don't know, 3, 4 years old, and half the time he'd put his underwear on backwards. Nope, you got them the wrong way, tag goes in the back. So I used to tell, like my family and friends, I don't know why this kid can't put his underwear on right. I just don't know why. So one day I'm driving down the road in Southern Illinois. I'm like, man, this feels weird. What is wrong with me? Something wrong. So a lot of information here. I stopped to use a restroom. I can't find the fly hole. Then I realized, oh my gosh, I did a Max. I put my underwear on backwards.
Oh, I tell you what, the Cardinals won. I'd be doing that too. Whatever it takes. I'm a fan. I'm sticking with my team. Whatever I can do to help. But evidently, going to the game is not one of the things I can do to help because they lost last night, 4-3. We've had a lot of movement on our roster, a lot of movement, and I tell you what, Vince, I like that. And not that because of the injuries, but last year it seemed like we just would not make any moves. We wouldn't send anybody down when they struggled. We just stayed right where we were, and we just had a horrible time. So I'll go over some of these roster moves. And really, remember, last Tuesday was the last time we all spoke with each other and said hey and everything. But since last Tuesday, these have been some of the moves. Dylan Carlson was sent down to the minors for it said rehabilitation. I don't know. That sounds like one of those David Green, he's down there too, still down there. Or Amy Winehouse. I ain't going to no rehabilitation. No. So Dylan Carlson went down, which is good because I think he's outstanding. If he would just, and we've all said this, Cardinal fans have been saying, if he would just hit from the right side. If you look at his splits, he's so much of a better hitter. But I think he's just got his head. I'm a switch hitter. I don't know. I'd like to see him be strictly a right-handed hitter and see what he could do because the splits are really good. And then we called up from the minors this kid Kyle Leahy, and he actually pitched the other day and did a very good job. Went 2 1/3 and looked very good. We got some good young kids down there, and I don't know what his future is going to bring, but I'm excited about that. And also, we put Drew Rom, a kid we picked up at the deadline last year when we made a lot of moves, and we transferred him to the 60-day IL. I hate to hear that. He started a lot of games in the second half last year, and he looked good at AAA, but in the pros, he didn't have it up here in the big league. So anyway, I wish him well, and I hope he gets back, and he's got a lot of promise. Also, Steven Matz, who has struggled mightily. And I tell you what, he would go about 5 innings, and 4 innings would look like, hey, he looks great. You'd have that one bad inning and it would kill us, especially with a team that's not hitting. So he was placed on the 15-day IL with a back injury. And maybe that's why he's struggled, but he's given you everything he's got. It's just not been good. And he might be more suited for the bullpen. It seems like when he hits that fourth or fifth inning, that's when they really light him up. So we'll see. He went to the bullpen last year, kind of found himself and came back and then got hurt again.
What year
So
is he? Has he been around for 10 years yet?
well, I remember him with the Mets,
It's been around
and
for quite a while now.
and then he went somewhere and had a big year, maybe Toronto. He went somewhere and had a big year, and that's when we've got him. And he's been here 3 years, so I'm going to say he's probably been around 6, 9. Yeah, I bet he's been around about 9 years, Vince. You know,
Isn't that strange that at his age, he's the last few years suddenly just having a hard time getting to the lineup for the third time. It's like that third time through, they've got him measured and he's a softball pitcher.
and Vince, you look at him when he's in the third inning, he's probably on 65 pitches too. He throws a lot of pitches. They hit him, little bloops. He's got that stuff that dives down in there, and they just get enough of it to get it over the infield. And it's so excruciating to watch because they're like, oh, it's not like they're hitting line drives off of him or anything until about the fifth inning. But he might be more suited for the bullpen, which he did. He did a really good. He got good in the bullpen last year, and with as much as he's making, he needs to be out there doing something, shagging balls, doing something. So
Yeah.
anyway, he's injured right now, and then let's see. My gosh, I write so small. Um, oh, Matt Carpenter's been sent to the minors to start doing his rehab to get ready to hopefully come back. We'll see what happens there. On the 5th of this month, Dylan Carlson was called up, and we got to see him play last night. He looks good. He's a very good defender. He's hit some balls hard, but he's run into bad luck. I don't think he's got a single hit yet, but he's hitting the ball hard right at people, and he's not striking out a ton so far. So when Carlson comes up, we send Pedro Pages down, and he's our third catching option. So with Contreras and Herrera up and doing a very good job defensively and offensively, Contreras is our best hitter, I think, by far this year so far. Page is just, he didn't have much playing time. He was there like an emergency catcher right there. Tommy Edman has now been transferred over to the 60-day IL2, and I don't think we're going to see Tommy Edman this year. I just have a bad feeling about it. He had wrist surgery in the offseason, and they haven't cleared him to even start getting ready to come up. So I think this is a lost season, and that's sad because I think at the beginning of the year, he was penciled in to be the starting center fielder. He's a Gold Glove second baseman, big part of the team. He led the team in stolen bases 3 years in a row, and we're not going to have him this year. But that's baseball. That's part of it. People get hurt, and and you got a game the next day, and you just keep going. Fredberg keeps kicking me in the head, by the way. You know,
I wondered you look like one of two things. You either look like the Quaker Oats man, or you look like what's his name? Randy Quaid in the movie, the bowling movie where he's Amish.
oh yeah, Randy Quaid.
What
Hey,
was that movie? You had him and Bill Murray and
yes.
Woody Harrelson.
Oh my gosh. And he had a
And
hook. Bill Murray
King,
had the
yeah,
kingpin. Yes.
yeah,
I was thinking more like Fargo, the guy who had the car lot and everything was falling apart and he had the ears in the cold weather up there. I was thinking
yeah.
more like that. So the Cardinals lose tonight, which might happen. Then I won't wear this for a while, but I was just kind of showing it off anyway. But a few more moves. So Gallegos, who's been terrible in the bullpen this year, he's been absolutely awful. We end up placing him on the 15-day IL, and like last year, he would have just stayed up here. And it does. I mean, you bring him in the game. I know, you give him a home run. Hey, you got to get back out there and pitch, but it doesn't seem like it bothered him at all. I would show like when Arenado gets a third called strike, he throws the bat, or somebody ran it down, he's ticked. I like that. I like a little
I like
intensity.
emotion too.
I do too. Gallegos just seems like, I got another 3-run homer. Big deal. Like, oh man. And then they brought up this kid, Chris uh, Roycraft, our relief pitcher, and we brought him up from the minors. So that's been the moves this week. A lot of moves. But I'm going to tell Cardinal fans things are better than they were last year, which isn't saying much, but it's better than it was last year. Last year in April, we were 10-18. This year we were 13-13. And I know you're going to say, well, JJ, we weren't 500 in April. Yeah, we were. What happened was we played the Dodgers in March and was 1-3. So by the time the end of April came, we were 14-16. But technically, in the calendar month, in which I'll take any kind of victory I can, we did play 500 ball in April. Yeah, we'll take that. As a last place team, you got to find something to hang your hat on. May, we're already starting out 1-4. But hey, win one tonight. We're getting back in there. We're not terribly far behind the Reds and the Pirates. This week we played the Tigers, and we had a day off, and then we played the White Sox, and then one game against the Mets last night. And basically, we had a double hitter on Tuesday because Monday there was a rain out. And we won 2-1. Gibson had a quality start. Arenado went 2 for 3. Things looking good, but that's been the problem, Vince. It's just we almost have to throw a quality start, a perfect game to win because we're not hitting and we're striking out like you wouldn't believe. Oh my gosh, it's been so rough. And I believe that was the game that Flaherty struck out 14 Cardinals. Now Flaherty does that. There's times he's a pretty good pitcher, but 14 strikeouts by Flaherty, come on. That's terrible.
Where was
Tuesday,
that the last couple of years?
yeah, we could have used it, And he went to Baltimore last year. And so many people say, oh, the Cardinals don't know what they're doing. That may be true, but he went to Baltimore and they couldn't fix him either. He went to
Yeah.
Detroit and now he's doing better. So,
Well, also, Detroit is probably the biggest ballpark in baseball. It's a tough
oh,
hitter's park.
it's a tough
So
hitter's park. Oh,
now
I
that
see.
has nothing to do with 14 strikeouts,
Yeah.
but some of those mistakes he made in St. Louis and Baltimore are gonna be outs in Detroit. So it's
Yeah,
just the ballpark helps.
that's true. But we look terrible against them. And thank God that Cal Gibson threw such a great game. 7 innings, 1 earned run, and 9 Ks. Hey, Cal Gibson, very good. So the second game, we lost 6-11, and Goldie went 4 for 5 with a double and run scored, and that's nice to see because Goldie's been struggling mightily. He always has started out slow, but man, we need him so desperately. He's striking out. And look, it's been rough. He's only 2 years away from an MVP. So the rubber game Wednesday, we lose 1-4. Michaelis did go 6 innings and gave 3 earned runs, so he had a quality start. He is 2-4. Uh, anyway, we lost 2 out of 3 against the Tigers, and they are a pretty good team. We had the day off, and everybody's like, "Hey, the White Sox are coming to town. They've only got 6 wins. Maybe we can right the ship a little bit here against the White Sox." Well, it wasn't to be. Friday, we did win 3-0, and I'm telling you what, Sonny Gray has just been a blessing. We had all those starters at the beginning of the year where there's like 4 of them that everybody wanted and getting Sonny Gray. And he wanted to come here. He gave the Cardinals a very good deal. And he's been so good. He's been working with Libator and other people. It's just a win-win situation with Sonny Gray. But Sonny Gray went 7 innings and gave up no earned runs, 6 Ks, and his ERA after that game was 0.89. So that's a blessing there. He is our ace, and he's been acting like an ace. He's 4-1, and that's great. I can't say nothing. Sonny Gray, thank you for picking St. Louis. It's an honor having you on our team. Saturday, we lost 5-6, and Vince, they jumped ahead of us early. We came back with a big 5-run inning, but this was the main event. We were in extra innings, bases loaded, nobody out, and all 3 men struck out. They didn't put the ball in play. And it seems like after that game, the air is just out of the balloon right now. We're just looking like we're just jogging in place right now. There's hardly any excitement on the team right now, but that loss took a lot of air out of the team. And I know even Arenado, there's been an article or two about him like chewing some butt in the locker room. And good. That's what a good leader does. And these guys, I said I'd tip over their food, the table with all the food on it. I'd be yelling at them. I don't know what you got to do. Wake up, guys. Come on, your professional ball players, put the bat on the ball. But they didn't, and we lost 6-5, and that's so to Arenado went 3 for 3 in that game. and had a home run and 3 RBIs. I mean, what else can he do? He's playing all-star level third base. Our defense has been good. Our starting pitching's been better than we thought, and our bullpen's been pretty good. It's just our hitting is horrible. We're in the bottom five in the whole baseball with our hitting. And finally Sunday we lose 1-5. Um, and Gallegos took the loss, and he just looked terrible out there. Liberatore came in. It was a bullpen game. Liberatore went 3 and 2/3 innings and gave up 1 run. Looked pretty good. He's coming along. You know, maybe he can be that fifth starter. And then Monday we went to the game last night. Had a good time with Vince's wonderful family. Had a set up there, watched the game, and it was 4-3. And we got behind early. We fought back, and then there was a home run given up, and we lost the game. But this week we go 2-5, and that's just, that hurts. Good things though. The good and the bad. The good is we're more competitive this year. Last night was a 4-3 game. We were competitive. We had a chance in the eighth inning. We had a man on second. We just didn't score the run. The starting pitching and the bullpen and Helsley was reliever of the month. He's been fantastic. Sonny Gray has been fantastic, and our defense is. I don't think I could ask for any more. Yeah, last night Lars Newbar made an error, but I think, like he said, he was starstruck. We were there. And the bad so far, Mats and Gallegos have been just not up to snuff. They've been terrible. But I liked it. They made a move. Even if it's putting them on the injured reserve, we got to do something. We can't have them doing what they're doing. Nolan Gorman, who we put so much faith in, is just striking out. He's playing a good defense, but my gosh, you can't hit that low and strike out that much and be a part in the MLB. And then they moved Walker and Scott back down to the minors, which we talked about earlier in the year. They just weren't getting it done. And I like both players. I'm sure they're going to be back up sometime, but they're going to have to work on something to come back up here. And useful mistakes. Last night, Vince, there was a play where Ivan Herrera made the third out of the inning at third base. He was obviously out. The Cardinal still was hoping for the best. We maybe could overturn it, but we didn't get it. But he should have stayed at second base. I guess he thought, and we've got a team, 11 guys under the age of 25, and they're going to make these youthful mistakes and learn from them. But it hurts because last night we had a shot to win that game, and he got thrown out of third base. Now, the game hinged on many other things. That was just one of the moments that you kind of focused on, like, oh, if he just stayed at second, we had a shot to get another run and take the lead right there. So, Vince, that's everything. Me and Roger Freed, we're going to do everything we can to get this thing turned around. And that's it for this week from St. Louis. So we'll see what happens this week.
Okay. Last year you had a terrible year.
Horrible.
And Marvel made it through the season. It looks like it may be a tough year this year. Do you think Marvel makes it to the end of the season?
Yes, I do, unless the attendance last night, Vince, I couldn't believe it was, what was it last night? Monday. We were up there by the Stan Musial statue, and I couldn't believe, usually the crowds around the stadium. Last night, I think they had 31,000, which is okay, but if the attendance starts really bottoming out and the team just isn't playing up to snuff, that's the only way he's not going to do it. If they play around 500, I think he sticks around because Mozeliak's at the end of his reign. I think he's got one more year. Ollie pretty much does. He's not going to cause any problems for Mozeliak. And I could see that. Now, Skip Schumacher might become available. That might change things. But I do think he'll make it to the end of the year unless attendance just bottoms out. That's my thought on that.
Okay. Well, in Cub news, Cody Bellinger is back today.
Yay!
We with Bellinger out, Suzuki's still out, but he's right around the corner, still out. With all the injuries, I went through them last week with all the injuries we've faced so far this year. We are in great shape considering how beat up we are. So I'm very excited to see Bellinger get back. He didn't have to do a rehab stint and see if that bat in the lineup can start lengthening things because our offense has really suffered. We've had Ian Happ in the 3-hole. Ian Happ is not a 3-hole hitter. Ian Happ, and yeah, he's kind of fallen out of favor with a lot of people in Chicago, especially when we have Mike Talkman, who is just an on base machine. And Happ does take his walks. His on base percentage is pretty high for someone who's hitting 230, but he's hitting everything on the ground. He's got one home run. He's there's something messed up there. But anyway, um, not only is Bellinger back, Miles Mastrobuoni is back. So we got the Rat Boy back. Steele came back last night. I'll get into that in a minute. And Keegan Thompson just went down. And then Keegan Thompson came up today because Palencia got sent put on the IL. So Matt Mervis has been sent down. It's his second stint. He had a stint last year and a half stint this year. His batting average is nowhere close to 200. I don't know if he's going to be getting any more shots for the Cubs. They needed his bat then, and he really needed to show himself because when the Cubs got healthy, he could have been a good trade candidate for a team looking for a young first baseman who could hit. But his swing's a little long for Major League Baseball. His swing's perfect for AAA, and that's why it's a big AAA numbers, but his swing's just too long, and it's can't catch up with fastballs on this level. Alexander Canario's been optioned out. He wasn't playing much anyway, so we've had a few movements. We went 3-4 this week, and that's not great, but considering that we are beat up, I'll take it. And last week on Tuesday night, we played the Mets. We lost 4-2. Mike Talkman did get a couple of hits. And Julian Assad pitched 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run. His ERA this year sits at 1.97. We brought in Alzolay, and Alzolay just completely crapped the bed. 1 inning, 2 hits, 3 runs. They stole 4 bases off of him in 1 inning. That's unreal. So Assad pitched well enough to get the victory, and then Alzolay kind of coughed it up. We lost 4-1. Since last July, I think it is, Assad has, I think, the 3rd lowest ERA of starting pitchers in the National League.
Wow.
Nobody knows about it. He's on his way to being an all-star this year. Then the guy that doesn't throw hard, but throws a lot of different pitches and has control of all of them. The next day, we played the Mets again, and we won 1-0. Horner had a couple of hits. Pete Crow Armstrong drove in the only run, and Imanaga pitched 7 shutout innings, 7 strikeouts to lower his ERA to 0.78. And Neris came in and got the save, his 5th. This is the 2nd time this year already we have had a game end waiting for a decision from New York to see if the challenge play was going to stand. Alonso was thrown out at home plate, and it was a bang-bang play, and he would have been safe, but his hand for some reason was up when the tag went down, and I don't know. Alonso is kind of a strange guy. So the next day, final game against the Mets, we lost 7-6. Game we should have won. Morel hit a 3-run home run. Bush had a couple more hits. Pete Crow Armstrong 2 hits. And in this game, Ben Brown pitched pretty good. Pitched 4 2/3 innings. Gave up a couple of runs. He did have 5 walks. He was having control issues, but he kept us in the game. And then we brought in Keegan Thompson, and he gave up 3 runs, only 1 earned, but he gave up 3 runs. And then at the end, Palencia came in and gave up 2 runs in the 9th, and we lost the final game to the Mets. So then We have the Brewers come in on Friday. The first game we lose 3-1. Horner did have a couple hits, Hap had a couple of hits. Morel hit another home run. Bush hit 2 home runs. Nice to see Morel heating up again. Wisniewski, who was trying to stay in the starting rotation with everybody coming back. 6 1/3 innings of shutout ball, 8 strikeouts. Alzolay comes in, pitches a third of an inning, gives up 3 runs. And he's just completely lost. So we lose the first game to the Brewers, and we're fighting the Brewers for first place, but it's not Flag Day, so it's nothing really important that I'm thinking, gosh, I hope we start competing with the Brewers. So the next day we play the Brewers on Saturday. We win 6-5. Horner has a couple more hits, has 2 more hits. Morel hit a 2-run home run. Solo shot and also drove in a run later on in the game. Patrick Wisdom hit a home run, 2 hits. And Jamison Taillon pitched 6 shutout innings, 7 strikeouts. His ERA right now is 1.13. I know it sounds cartoonish the way we were started pitching. But Keegan Thompson came in, didn't get an out, and gave up 4 runs, 3 of them earned. So we let him right back in the game, and Hector Neris came in. We had a 2-run lead, and Hector Neris, of course, makes it interesting. Gave up 1 run, but did get his 6th save. He's doing it with Bears. So then Sunday's game, the final game against the Brewers, we just came out and we dominated. We won 5-0. Horner had a couple RBIs. Morel hit another home run and had 3 walks. Swanson hit a home run. Assad, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, lowered that ERA down to 1.66. And we looked good. And Daniel Palencia came in, even though it wasn't a safe situation. Him and his 102-mile-an-hour fastball, 2 strikeouts in the ninth, and everybody's suddenly saying, hey, this guy needs to be our closer. But wait, there's more. Last night, the Padres come to town. We lose 6-3. Tauchman with a couple of hits. Morel hit another home run. He is so hot, 2-run shot. Madrigal, a couple of hits. Gomes hit a solo home run. And so we're facing Yu Darvish, who's a tough pitcher. But still came back. His first start since opening day. He is on a pitch count. Pitched 4 2/3 innings. Gave up 3 hits, no earned runs, a couple of strikeouts. Lovelady comes in. Pitches a third of an inning, gives up 3 runs. So we bring in Palencia. He pitches 1 inning, gives up 3 runs. ERA balloons to 6.55, and no one is saying, hey, there's our closer anymore. So so we did go 3-4. We are technically tied with the Brewers for first place, but they have a higher winning percentage because they played a few more games. But I'm not going to complain. We're holding serve. We're getting healthy. And if the pitching holds up and we get the offense healthy with Bellinger and Suzuki, we could start rolling pretty good here. So that's a sweet
what was your take on the Brewers? Because we haven't seen them yet. What do you think of them as a team? Are they a formidable team, or are they playing kind of over their heads right now? Or what's their strengths and stuff?
I think playing a little over their heads. The pitching is good. It's not great. It's not. You don't have to worry about Corbin Burns. You don't have to worry about whoever the other guy
Hauser.
is.
I think it was Hauser was the other guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Palencia pitched good, but we did get to him. We beat him in the 5-0 game. So we did get to Palencia. I think they're a decent team. I don't see them hanging on. But then again, they're the Brewers. They surprise me every year.
Yes.
So I hate to crap on them because they
seem to get worked up for the Cubs too. They seem like they take it up a notch. Here comes the Cubs. Let's get ready for it.
It's such a natural rivalry. They're an hour up the road from us. And the dynamic of us sending our fans going up there and taking over the stadium does not sit well with them.
Oh, does it?
It's a nastier, and now that we stole council,
Oh, yeah.
nastier rivalry than the Cardinal Cub rivalry.
Yeah.
It's a little more personal. Um, so it's good for baseball, but
It's great for baseball. I love that. I absolutely love it. My take as a Cardinal fan watching those games, you guys are more talented, but it's that your bullpen. You got to get that kind of straightened out because if they stick around, that's where they could get you. And they have a couple, three guys that are just having great years. Adamas, the shortstop, and Contreras, and Hoskins looks like he's going to be a pain in everybody's butt this year. He's doing really good. So them three guys, look out for them. But they don't have Devin Williams in the bullpen. I just don't see them maintaining like they are.
yeah. Um, and Churios, I mean, he's got a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
money.
Yeah.
But they're getting him ninth, and they even pinch hit for him. He Does he deserve to be on the roster? Yeah, I think he needs more seasoning in the minors, though. If you got this guy, you're gonna pinch hit for him. Why not just keep him in the minors and let him get his footing a little bit better? But I don't know. What do I know? I don't know nothing. But you know who does know something?
Oh, yeah. Jeremy knows everything. Yeah.
Jeremy knows everything, absolutely everything. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. Well, this is that. Been a few weeks since we've done this, but we're going to do our top 5 players, the best players that we've seen in our lifetime. And we are doing third baseman. And man, third base is stacked. What did you think about third base?
Third base, I kind of knew 3, 4, but I had a list of about 10. They were fighting for those 5 spots. And of course, this is 70. For me, it's the last 50 years. When I started watching baseball from 74 to 2024, and you got to have your prime years in there. So that kind of eliminated Ron Santo and Kenny Boyer. They were right there at the kind of just near the end or right there. So prime years between 74 and 2024, 5 best. And people, by the way, love when we do 5 best. They like to try to guess what we're going to say and stuff like that. I hear a lot back from our lists and stuff like that.
Well, do you want to go first?
No, would you go first? I like to hear what you
Okay.
got to say.
I thought in my little head, before I did this list, I knew 1 and 2. And then when I started looking at this a little closer, my number 2 became my number 5, which kind of hurts because he's one of my favorite players of all time. My number 5 is George Brett. He played from 73 to 93. He has a career 305 batting average. He is a member of the 3,000 hit club. He had some poppy at 317 home runs, drove in almost 1,600 runs, had an 857 OPS and an 88.64. He's a Hall of Famer. He played in 13 All-Star games, 1 MVP, 1 Gold Glove. And I know he played with a lot of good contemporaries. Nettles was just out of this world when he first came up, and so Nettles kept winning the Gold Glove. But I thought Brett was a pretty good defender, and I was surprised that he only won 1. I thought maybe he had 3 or 4. I don't know. 3 Silver Sluggers. What is unique about George Brett? He has 3 batting titles. He won 1 in the 70s, 1 in the 80s, and 1 in the 90s. So long span between the first one in 76 and the last one in 1990. But no one else has done that. So my number 5 is George Brett.
George Brett. Well, that's a good one. I won't mention where George is on my list, but I'll mention him later. My number 5 is also a Hall of Famer, a newer Hall of Famer, and I put Adrian Beltran as my number 5 third baseman of my lifetime. Adrian Beltran played for 4 different teams. A lot of these guys just played for one team, but Beltran played for played for the Rangers, Dodgers, Mariners, and did I put Boston down? He played for 4 teams, but he played from 1998 to 2018. huge, one of the all-time great Ranger players. Seemed like he found himself there. He was a leader on that team. He made them a serious contender, very popular. Some of his accolades, he was a four-time All-Star, a five-time Gold Glover, uh, four-time Silver Slugger. He won the Platinum Glove twice. So that's now remember, some of these guys weren't around when the Platinum Glove was given out. So that's a fairly new thing, but that makes you the best defensive player at any position in your league. So that's pretty amazing there. He went in the Hall of Fame in 2024 and got 95.1% of the vote. Um, he was a top five MVP candidate twice, and he was a top 10 MVP candidate six times. And then some of his ball card statistics had a WAR. They say anybody with a WAR of 60 and over is a person that could make the Hall of Fame. His WAR is 93.5. 3,166 hits. And I'm one of those people believe that magic number of 3,000 hits. It's only the cream of the crop, the top guys get to that 3,000 hits, longevity and being good for a long, long time. So 3,166 hits, 477 home runs. So not only was a very good hitter, but he also had a lot of power. I've seen one of my memories about him was they throw a ball and it would sink down and he would drop to one knee and get a bat on it and take it out of the ballpark. Batting average of 286, and that's phenomenal over 21 seasons. And anyway, Adrian Beltran, I just like the way he played. He was intense. His teammates loved him. He showed up every day. Hardly ever hear of Adrian Beltran being hurt. And the teammates like to take his helmet off and rub his head because he hated his head rubbed, and he'd come up swinging and stuff like that. And they'd get such a kick out of it. He was entertaining and a great ball player, and I'm glad he's going in and went in as a Texas Ranger. So that's good for the Ranger organization. So anyway, that's my number 5, Adrian Beltran.
Okay, my number 4 is Wade Boggs. Played from 82 to 99, a 328 career batting average. Also had 3,010 hits, so he's a member of the club. Only 118 home runs. He wasn't much for power, but he did drive in over 1,000 runs, 1,014 to be exact. A 858 OPS, 91.4 WAR, Hall of Famer, of course. 12 All-Star games, and he did win 2 Gold Gloves, so he wasn't a slouch at third base defensively. He won 8 Silver Sluggers and 5 batting titles. And when I stacked him up next to Brett, I realized besides home runs and RBIs, everything else, he has the advantage over Brett. And I didn't realize that Brett only won 3 Silver Sluggers. Boggs won 8 of those, 5 batting titles. Just an amazing player. He did all that while drinking a lot of beer and screwing a lot of women that weren't his wife. Amazing.
Well, nobody's perfect.
I should not have had a beer because this is not a family-friendly show anymore. So.
It's true. It's the true serum. He's got the true serum going right now. well, my number 4 is Chipper Jones. And I say Chipper Jones. I'm telling you, Vince, 2, 3, and 4, I kept tossing them around. And what do I value more? Do I value the batting average, longevity, all this and all that? Now, I'll go into why. Chipper Jones, great player. Now, my grandfather, who is my all-time favorite person, Marine, World War II, hated Chipper Jones because the Braves were always good. They always give the Cardinals a tough time. And Chipper Jones was always complaining. He pointed it out. He goes, look at him complaining. And when Chipper Jones would complain about a ball or strike or play at third, he'd go, cry, baby, cry. He would just yell that at the TV. And I got so many great memories of my grandfather getting fired up over Chipper Jones. But that's why he's not number 4. He was a great player, a switch hitter, one of the all-time greatest switch hitters. 19 years, all with one team, 8 All-Stars games, an MVP in 99, 2-time Silver Slugger, a world champion. He hit a batting average, a lifetime batting average over 300, 303, 2,726 hits. But power-wise, 468 home runs and RBIs, 1,623. Phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal player on teams. He was a big anchor of those teams that won 14 straight division titles, which I don't know if we'll ever see that again. But my gosh, it didn't help that they had the three best pitchers in baseball at the time either. But my gosh, Chipper Jones, fantastic player. Sort of like the Ric Flair of baseball. Half the people love to come to the ballpark just to get on him, and the other half came to cheer him on because they loved him so much. So Chipper Jones, number 4.
Okay, my number 3 is Adrian Beltre. You've given statistics, and what I liked about Beltre is he did it for the Dodgers. So he did it with the big spotlight on him, and that year he was runner-up for MVP and won a home run title. Then he went to Seattle and played in obscurity for a while, and finished his career in Texas and was completely under the radar, but played very well for Texas and became a Hall of Famer almost without anybody noticing. It's just one day we woke up and said, oh, Adrian Beltre's almost got his 3,000th hit. Oh, Adrian Beltre just hit his 350th home run. Oh my gosh, he's won his 5th Golden Glove, you know? So when you start adding all this stuff up, I was surprised. I thought he would be about number 5. I had to push him down to 3 ahead of Brett Boggs. And, you know, Brett Boggs played my wheelhouse, the 70s and 80s. That's my wheelhouse. That's why I open up cards from the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
But if I look at it as objectively as possible, I think Adrian Beltre was a better third baseman, had a better career than Brett and Boggs. So.
Oh, excellent, excellent. It sounds like we're going to have the same 5 people, just in different orders. Well, my number 3 is probably one of my 5 favorite players of all time, and it's Wade Boggs. I love Wade Boggs. I like his approach. This guy slept. Well, when he wasn't sleeping with a bunch of different women, he slept baseball. Women just a little bit, 10%, 90% baseball. Okay, I can admire that. All right. Wade is one of the all-time great hitters. We've been blessed over the last 50 years to have these hitters like Quinn and oh my gosh, Rod Carew, and Wade Boggs, and is one of those guys. And Hall of Famer. You've said everything pretty much about him, but 12-time All-Star. So in the years that he played, he was pretty much an All-Star every year. 18 seasons, 91.4 WAR, just crept over 3,000 hits. 118 home runs. Was not a power guy, but he played on some great Red Sox teams, and he played on some great Yankee teams. And I believe he ended his career with the Devil Rays, kind of just, hanging on, getting to that 3,000 hits. But he still, with all that being said, it was a 328 lifetime batting average, which was one of the all-time top 20 batting averages of all time. And if you could maintain that over 18 years, that's phenomenal. Very good setup man, usually batted third in the lineup. And the things about Boggs that I just absolutely loved, one, he's one of the only guys in here that walked more than he struck out. And to me, that's a big, I just absolutely love that. He went in there, would take it his bats, eat his chicken, and he would foul balls off and work them pitchers and make them pitchers throw so many pitches. And, you put it down the middle, he's going to put the bat on the ball. 5 batting titles over 18 years. To me, that just kind of just edged out. Now, defensively, he won 2 Gold Gloves. He did win Gold Gloves. Some guys were a little bit better fielding, but his hitting, it was just, I'd pay admission just to watch him get his 4 bats during the game. So Wade Boggs is my number 3 guy.
Okay. One thing about Boggs, he did have the disadvantage of playing at Fenway, that right center field where, yeah. So I remember he and Mattingly for about a 5-year period were the 2 best hitters. There was that Sports Illustrated article with Ted Williams talking to them too. And Ted asked, did you ever smell wood when you fouled the ball off? And all 3 of them said yes. And I thought, geez,
Yeah.
man.
That's another level. That's just another level of guys right there.
Well, my number two is your grandfather's least favorite player, Chipper Jones. And this was another one that I think we kind of got put to sleep by the Braves. 13 straight uh, divisional titles. But in all that time, they only won one World Series, and I think they only made it to like two. It's not like they went out there and set the world on fire in the playoffs. And I'm sorry, I did not watch a lot of games on WTBS because even though Harry Carey was great, not Chip Carey, Skip Carey
Oh
was
yeah.
the most boring announcer. God rest his soul. I don't know how he was just terrible. It would put me to sleep to watch Braves games. So, I didn't watch many Braves games, but when I started looking at Chipper's information, you gave it all 303 lifetime batting average, 400 plus home runs, 1,600 RBIs, 930 OPS, which is much higher than my first three. And, Chipper did also win a batting title, but maybe not the best defensive third baseman on this list, but hey, he was okay. I mean, when you got contact ground ball pitchers like Lavin and Maddox on your staff, he had to be pretty good. Otherwise you're going to say, we need someone to catch ground balls. You're going to go play first base or whatever. But I kind of forgot how good he was because I just wasn't a Braves fan. And it was very tough to watch their games because the human box of Sominex, Skip Carey was calling their game. Uh, so that's my number two.
Well, Vince, I have we flip flop, but we got the same guys. I got George Brett at number two, and George Brett. The reason one of the deciding factors is a couple there, but George Brett was the focal point, the captain. I don't think he was technically the captain, but he was the focal point. He was the best player on those Kansas City teams. Those Whitey Herzog years, uh, I mean, they were talented, yes, but he was the most talented of the bunch. The other guys we mentioned, I think they're Hall of Famers for the love of God. They're Hall of Famers. But George Brett was the guy the other teams tried to stop. There was 3 straight years in the late 70s where the Yankees and the Royals played each other, and they couldn't stop Brett. They could not stop him. They even made up crazy rules like the pine put too much pine tar. And Vince, that's one of my greatest memories is the Billy Martin. Hey, check out that pine tar. And Brett said, if he comes out here and says something about the pine tar, I'm going to go nuts. And it looks like Charles Manson running out of that dugout and yelling at that umpire. They're like, what the heck have we done? I love George Brett. His fire. That guy came to play baseball every day. Absolutely love him. He's one of the last guys to flirt with 400 late in the season. And the next year, he said the worst thing I ever happened to me in my career is I hit 390. Because the next year I hit 326, and they said, he's over the hill. He's no good anymore. Yeah, it run him. But this guy also, one of the things about Brett, I noticed, unlike the other third basemen, is George Brett had 201 stolen bases. You don't see that a lot of a third baseman over the course of a career. Played a lot of years, and ended up with a 305 batting average. Him and Chipper are about equal in the batting average thing, with Chipper having much more power. He did hit 317 home runs. Chipper had more power. But anyway, just the fire he played with, the batting championships. I mean, when he played, Rod Carew played. To get a batting title when Rod Carew's winning all the batting titles, that's pretty much amazing right there. And he got three in that era with some of these great hitters. That's pretty amazing. And Boggs was around at the same time. So anyway, George Brett's my number two, and you pretty much did all the statistics on that.
Yeah, with Brett, one of the things that made him one of my favorite players was just his easygoing nature and sense of humor. There was a time when he was kind of trying to negotiate a new contract. He was coming up off free agency, and he didn't like Ewing Kaufman's offer. He thought he lowballed him. And so Brett was being interviewed, and he kind of said, well, the offers aren't that good, and here's what the numbers look like, and we're, you know, and so the Kansas City fans, I think it was a radio station had this drive, let's get George some clothes, let's get him. So they did like this drive to get
Oh,
for George all this stuff. I remember some people donated like Kleenex boxes, so he's got enough tissues to cry into.
oh,
Instead of getting mad, George Brett thought it was funny. He said, "Yeah, I should have kept my big mouth shut." He's just a classic guy, and he's an icon in Kansas City.
yes, he is.
Most players who have that kind of success would have moved on to New York or Los Angeles. He stayed in Kansas City and stayed in Kansas City after he retired. Still there, still working with the team. Great guy. Before I go to my number one, I've got a couple honorable mentions I'm going to say. And the only reason why they're honorable mentions and are not on this list is because they're still playing and they just haven't accumulated the numbers. And that's Nolan Arenado and Manny Machado. I think they are the two best third basemen that we've seen over the past 10 years. And will probably be the type of people who will be pushing for spots on this list when they retire. And I have had active players on this list before, but third base is so stacked. I thought I'm just gonna, if you're currently playing, you're gonna be a uh, uh, honorable mention. I'm also going to mention Scott Rowland as an honorable mention simply because he's in the Hall of Fame, but honestly, his numbers just do not stack up anywhere close to these guys that we're talking about.
I agree.
And of course, my number one, the best third baseman ever, you're going to have him as your number one is Bill Madlock. Wait a minute.
Hey, dog.
Of course, it's Michael Jack Schmidt, played from 72 to 89. 267 batting average, which is the lowest on this list, 548 home runs, the highest, 1,595 RBIs, a 908 OPS, a 106.9 WAR. He's a Hall of Famer, 12-time All-Star, 3-time MVP, 10 Gold Gloves. And Mike Schmidt was a big, rangy guy. He reminded me of like a spider at third base. Just reach out those long arms and snatch balls out of the hole and then make a perfect throw. He was so smooth in his prime as a defender at third. He won 6 Silver Sluggers and he won 8 home run titles. And one of my favorite players when I was growing up, Dave Kingman and Mike Schmidt, had this friendly rivalry because every year it seemed like they were neck and neck trying to win the home run title. And only one year did Kingman best him, but they were always right there neck and neck. Of course, Dave Kingman was not Mike Schmidt. So that's my number one.
Well, Vince, I can't argue. You're a genius. You're a smart man, and I agree with you 100%.
And you're a genius and a smart man too.
Hey, but this was so obvious. Mike Schmidt is just heads and tails above everybody else. And he played in Veterans Stadium that was AstroTurf. Now, people will say, well, he got a clean hop. That is true, but the ball gets on you so much quicker on that AstroTurf. It was almost like playing on concrete sometimes. In the summertime, in the heat, it just kind of radiated that heat. It was rough in the summertimes on that AstroTurf. And people got turf toe, a lot of NFL players as well playing on the turf. It was just a rough time. But Mike Schmidt was the captain of those great Phillies teams. And as a Cardinal fan in the 70s and 80s, until Whitey got here, they dominated us. The Phillies and the Pirates just dominated the rest of the division. It really came down to them two, who was going to win to get to the playoffs. So the Phillies was almost there every year. And he was the captain. He was the best player on that team. Steve Carlton, the ace of the staff, Tug McGraw in the bullpen, and him playing third base. And it wasn't until 1980 when they went and got Joe Morgan or Manny Trio and Pete Rose to get on base and for Mike before he won his first World Series in 1980. The highest WAR by far of any third baseman in the history of baseball, and it's 106.8. And they consider 60 WAR as Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah, it's unreal.
That's unreal. And you hit anything down there. Not only was he the best power hitter, one of the best hitters, but he would grab that ball and fire it across the diamond, and then Pete Rose would get it and spike the ball. That kind of ticked me off, Vince. Pete just rubbing it in your face, spiking the ball, and you only got thrown out by half a step or a step. Seems like they just kind of, hey, you're not good enough. You're that much not good enough. So anyway, that's how I think of Mike Schmidt. Just always one of the all-time, and he played his whole career with the Philadelphia Phillies too. I like that when one of the stars play with one team. Anyway,
Remember that game in '82 when Rose grounded out and it was late in the season and Hernandez took the ball and spiked it right in front of him. That
oh,
that kind of signals like, hey, we're the Cardinals. We're better than you now. Oh
hey,
yeah. Yeah.
hey, I like that.
Hernandez just took the ball and spiked it into the turf as he ran to the dugout.
Take
Yes.
that, Rose. And the reason I give Rose crap is he was so great. He was such a great hitter and competitor, and you could go on and on about that as too. But it's nice to give it back to him every once in a while.
Oh, well, JJ, what are you opening up?
Well, this is sponsored by my buddy Tom Majay, who's in our
Wow.
fantasy league, managing the Nationals, who are hanging in there. All right, but he got me a 2024 a pack of the Series 1 with Acuna on the package. So let me open up these bad boys. By the way, before I get started on that, I was going to show off a card I'm pretty proud of. I got this out of my collection just to kind of show tonight. 1964, because this is Cardinal and Cubs, 64 Lou Brock Cub card.
Wow.
Man, don't that look good? He's got the Cubby on the sleeve. And anyway, that's just, so many memories there. And he did start his career with the Cubbies. I just kind of wanted to show that off. 1964, right there, the year the Beatles came to the United States. That's how I remember it. So here we go. Oh, and the new cards we've talked about it before. I really like them. Christian Javier from the Astros right there, winding up about to let one fly.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, this kid, sounds like I hear his name a lot on Sports Center and stuff. JJ Bleday from the Oakland A's right there. There he is. I still like those Oakland or Sacramento A's or wherever they're playing
You
these
just like
days.
his name.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool name, everybody. The Mets, they're it's kind of like a little spotlight on the Mets there, and it's Lindor and Alfonso right there. Little picture right there. I like that they capture some of that. Uh-oh, I may save this one for Max. Here he is celebrating. He must have did something pretty good. Nico Horner right there.
Oh,
Yeah, look at
Texas.
that. Yeah, that's right. He was touting him way before everybody else caught up with him. Uh, a Florida Marlin, which means he's probably going to be on somebody else's team here if he's any good. Braxton Garrett pitching right there in the Florida Marlin uniform. Let's see here. Oh, one of these young, great Baltimore Oriole players, Ryan O'Hearn, right there, playing first baseman of the Orioles. And this guy's had a tough time this year, but he's a great player. I'm sure he's going to rebound. He came up through the Cardinal organization, but Randy Arozarena doing the classic thing he does when he does something great, hit a home run or steal a base or whatever, win a game.
And he's a streaky hitter, and when he gets hot, he carries that team.
Oh yeah, yeah. This guy just keeps getting better and better and better. Superstar player. Although they did get swept by the Dodgers this weekend. Ronald Acuna Jr. That guy right there is the sky's the limit. We may be talking about him in 15 years, Vince, being one of the best players we've ever seen. And this guy here is, I believe, he was a rookie last year, came out of nowhere and was a closer for the Orioles. Yanir Cano,
Yeah.
right there, another big piece of that team. Tell you what, the Baltimore team, I think they're ahead of schedule. This could be their year. I know Max picked them to win it this year. And that's it for my cards.
Okay. I have the 1990 edition of the Collector's Choice.
Okay.
Nice foil
I,
package.
I remember that pack.
And I love these cards. These are
Oh, good photography.
Yeah. Former Yankee pitcher, uh, Walt Terrell.
Oh, I remember that. I think he was with the Royals too.
Yeah,
I
he
think.
bounced around a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
remember all the teams. Uh, Tigers, Padres, Yankees. Yeah, bounced
I'm
around
pre
a bit.
I'm predicting you're going to have a Brooks Jacoby in there. Every time I open one of those packs, I got a Brooks Jacoby.
Okay. Uh, ah, good bench player for the Braves. Gerald Perry.
Very good player.
Oh my gosh.
Brooks Jacoby?
No, but I'm gonna cry.
Uh-oh.
Bo Jackson. Look at that
Oh, look
picture.
at that. What a
Oh,
stud. That dude could do anything.
wonderful. Um, Former Oriole and former, gosh, I think he pitched for the Astros too. Pete Harnish, made an
Oh,
all-star
yeah.
team, I think.
Yes, Oriole. Yeah. Nice career.
Um, Boston, the Hall of Famer John Dobson. I'm sure he's in his high school Hall of Fame, but I don't know who the heck he is.
Look, good looking kid there.
Yeah.
All American looking.
Former Pirates left-hander Neil Heaton. He had a pretty
Oh,
decent career.
yes, he did. Yeah. He gave us fits.
Uh, Chris Hammond. I don't remember him for the Reds. Do you?
Yeah, but what I think it was with another team I remember him by.
I
I
just it's Nashville. So
yeah, he's got the rookie emblem for on the upper decks right there. But
uh
but I think I remember him with another team, maybe the Florida Marlins, maybe.
I got this nice Pittsburgh Pirate hologram.
Oh, yes.
Like those.
Classic logo right there.
Um, Former governor of California also played outfield for the Cleveland then Indians. Jerry Brown
Where's Linda Ronstadt? Just out of the
also made
picture.
it. Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah, hey, very good, Jerry Brown.
Uh, uh, for the Twins, Randy Bush. I always liked Randy Bush.
Yes.
Kind of have an affinity for the Twins.
He's
Uh,
he runs the Bean Corporation, Bush Beans. Is that him?
yeah. Just the
That's him.
beans. Uh, for the Twins, Herman Gonzalez. I do not remember him.
I do not remember him.
Um, yeah, it says right here on his card. Even his parents don't remember it. It's sad.
He's on the back of a milk carton.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Brooks
I
Jacoby.
can't believe this guy was still playing in 1990. I loved him. He played for the White Sox. I watched the White Sox team when I was a kid. Chet the Jet Lemon played
Love
for the
Chet Lemon.
Tigers, former
Yes.
All-Star. And just that smile was genuine. That was a happy guy. Every time you saw him
Yeah.
interviewed, just a nice guy. Of course, we just talked about him, Wade Boggs, and look at that.
Look at that. It's the echo effect looking there.
Yeah.
Probably getting one of his hits.
Uh, this guy was really good to his kids. Mark Parent.
Was he with the Pirates there? Is that who he's with in that picture?
Padres.
Padres, okay.
Former pitcher for the Mariners, Eric Hansen.
Oh
Had a pretty good
yeah.
career.
Yeah.
And this was one of my favorite players when I was a kid growing up. He wasn't quite on the Bill Madlock, Dave Kingman, but I loved the way he played the game because the Red Sox were pretty good in the late 70s, mid late 70s, and they always seemed to be on Game of the Week. Fred Lynn,
Oh yeah. His rookie year is one of the greatest
yeah,
rookie years.
and played with the Tigers, the Orioles, the Angels, but really made his mark is the center fielder for the Red Sox team that made the 75 World Series, where he won Rookie of the Year and MVP the same season.
A rookie with Jim Rice. Rice and Lynn came up together in that
Yep.
out of that organization. They always develop hitters. The Red Sox always get hitters, man.
Yeah. Well, JJ, I hope you have a better week than 2-5. I sincerely do. It was fun going to the game last night. I don't know how many games I'm going to make it to a Bush this year. Um, but it's always a fun time at the ballpark, no matter
Oh,
win or lose. So
yes. I agree. Thanks a lot, Vince.
All righty. Well, you have a good one, and we will see everybody next week.